Mark and HooGie Show. Featuring this week's guest, David Ellefson of Megadeth.
Hey, what's up? It is the Mark and HooGie Show. Big show today, man. Dave Ellefson, the other Dave from Megadeth, going to be joining
Junior.
us. Yeah. I'm not going to call him that. If you want to call him that, you can. I just like to call him. I like to call him the main Dave from Megadeth, and then I don't know who that other Dave is.
You know what? You know what's weird is sometimes, like, because I've had a relationship with Dave for years, and when I'll call him up sometimes, and he calls me my real name.
Is it bad that I always forget your real name?
No, not at all. But like, I just think it's funny. Like, I'll call him up and he'll go, "Okay, if you don't know my real name, it's Jeremy." But like, he'll answer the phone like,
"Thank you.
Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?" And I'm like, I'll double look at the phone. Like, is this? Did I call my mom's house? Like,
yeah. But you know what? We got lots of new merchandise, by the way. We actually just got some masks in. If you want a Mark and HooGie Show mask, oh, look at that. And we got those made actually from one of our sponsors, buyfromyourcouch.com. So look at those beautiful masks. It's got our mugs on it, our beautiful mugs.
They are selling rather quick.
They are. So act quick. If you want one of those, just $15. And speaking of mugs, we do have the Mark and HooGie coffee mug as well that you can purchase. We got lots of cool merch. And thanks to everybody who's already purchased some merch. So many people have been supporting this show, and we sincerely do appreciate it. So thank you for doing that. It really means a lot. It does. So
it really helps us keep the lights on in our homes.
It does. And man, oh man, is it expensive with the heat wave we've been having around our parts. It's expensive to run that air conditioner, man. So
the expensive part here is all those kids that eat. Jesus.
Yeah. So we're going to chat with Dave Ellefson of Megadeth. We're going to chat solo album. We're going to talk about staying sober and so much more, and kind of even just, how Megadeth formed, really.
Yeah.
So all that's going to be coming up. Dave Ellefson of Megadeth. He is our guest today on the Mark and HooGie Show.
Good to be here. We've got too much time on our hands, so we're starting our own show.
Yeah, and it was partially you kind of helped inspire all of this, I believe.
Yeah. I know. Well, it's funny because we, Tom Hazard, who's my partner in all things Ellefson these days, and singer in my solo band and everything. I know we just started it, quite honestly, out of to do that Schools Out initiative to give the free lessons for our David Ellefson Youth Music Foundation. And we started using StreamYard as well because it links out to YouTube and all the social media stuff. We had the Grammy Music Education, affiliated with us. And so we wanted to hit their Twitch account and all these different things. And StreamYard works. But I have the same problem that I just had. Sometimes you go in, it works, and then it doesn't. Log out, you got to sign back in. So.
Technology.
Such is life in the technology world. Yeah.
You've been keeping busy though. Yeah. So like obviously what you were just talking about, and then you got a solo album as well that's doing really, really good. You did like a cool Post Malone cover.
Yeah. In fact, we just did one of these. We just did this little StreamYard chat last week that, I said to Tom, I said, it's been about a week and a half since we went, since we did our last stream, because we started this series called Oh Say Can You Stream. And and it had been we did 3 of them. The first one was, around the Schools Out initiative. The second one, I think, was kind of the same thing. Different cast of characters, though. And then the third one that we did was to support our friend Mark Weiss, New Jersey, who did all these great photos and album covers for, Twisted Sister and shot Megadeth and got Zach Wilde into Ozzy's band. He was the referral on that. So we used our platform for that. And then last week I said to Tom, I was in the studio recording some stuff for a friend of mine, for Jason Beeler from Saigon Kicks, got a super cool, I assume, solo album coming out. And so I was down there in the studio and I said to Tom, I said, why don't we go live and just kind of update everybody on what's happening? And we get on there, and Tom's got Post's dad on the stream, and I had been chatting with him on Twitter with Rich, and he's a wonderful, wonderful guy, and he's the one who got Post into heavy metal and Megadeth and stuff, and then they were up at Post's house up in Utah. So we actually had a nice little chat with Post and his dad, so it was wonderful. So
nice.
It's a good family, cool people. Yep.
Do you like, obviously it's different, you're in Megadeth, but then doing a solo album, which do you prefer? Or obviously there's differences, right? A lot more work probably doing a solo album. You don't have other people to kind of take a bit of the work for you, right?
Ironically, it's easier because I can kind of call the shots, and look, I actually went to Nashville. I got home last week. I went down there May 23rd, and we spent 11 days down there. Me and our drummer Dirk Verburen. I flew over because this week Arizona has apparently got an incredibly high number of COVID cases, but we started reopening back like in kind of mid-May. So it was about a week after that I went down to Nashville, and it was fine here. And in Nashville, they haven't reported high cases, either a high number of cases. So it was pretty chill, So I just flew Southwest. I contemplated driving. Dave's like, look, we can send a private plane over to pick you guys up. I'm like, well, that would be nice, but we don't need to spend that much money. Like, we're not that high maintenance, So, David was chomping at the bit. He wanted to get going because we were supposed to do that drum and bass session back in March, and then everything shut down. Dirk, he lives over in LA, so they've been really shut down. Very different scenario, I think, over in California. But over here for me, I go out every day. I swim, I bike, I work out in my house. We're out playing tennis. It's like, it's around the suburbs. And there's not a lot of people here. But so for me, it was, I just got on the plane and went over but that Megadeth session that we did, we put down 15 original tunes, 3 covers, and so 18 songs total. And what was nice about it, it was nice to be in a big studio again, using obviously a big major label budget and scoping deep, you know what I mean? Like we can do things like I'll punch half of a note to get rid of the string noise of a slide from A. Like if you go, from like A down to like F, and there's like string noise. When you've got the money and the time and the patience, like you can like punch, bow, punch, bow, you know what I mean? And you can like, you can do, HooGie, right? So, it was fun to do that. It was fun to, it reminded me like when we were making records back in the 90s and even in Nashville when we started working with Dan Huff on Cryptic Writings. And, Dan works, he's grown up working in the studios. And, when you've got your studio ears on, you're hearing stuff normal people don't hear, but the fact that you're so in tune to everything, fret noise, every little detail of everything. When you really are in there scoping deep, man, you get to really have fun with that. it becomes a scientific project, And that's not to say my other records or my solo record is not attention to detail, but there's sort of a bit more of a bombastic, like, this sounds great. And we're just in the moment of there's an energy about it. And because it's new and it's fresh and it doesn't have a sort of, because it's a solo thing, I can do whatever I want. It doesn't have to go, it does say Megadeth on it. It's got to sound like Megadeth, and we can't, go too far out of the, it's kind of got to stay in our lane. Because we've learned over the years, fans, when it says Megadeth, they want it to sound like Megadeth. So, the more experimental stuff we can do on solo records. So that's the long answer to your short question is I enjoy both for the various reasons and kind of the fun that we get to have doing, with both opportunities. I'm very blessed. I'm glad I get to do both, actually.
Do you ever think though, like, okay, I can't, I don't necessarily want to do this because it sounds almost too much like Megadeth. Is there ever that where it's like, I want it to sound different. I don't want it to sound like, oh, well, this was this could have been a Megadeth song, but the guy's just putting it on his solo album now.
To some degree, if some of it doesn't sound kind of like Megadeth, the fans will probably cry foul and go, it doesn't sound like Megadeth. Yeah,
right.
So to some degree, I want it to, you know what I mean? Like there's a little
Sure.
picking pattern or something that sort of, it sounds, okay, good. He still sounds like Megadeth. All right, we'll listen to the rest of his solo album,
Right.
Yet at the same time, it was fun to do things like that Post Malone cover, like Over Now, because, we really kept it true to the original arrangement. We didn't take any liberties with that, but what we took liberties with was just chunking down and heavying up the guitars. We might have dropped it a half step because we put everything in E flat. And HooGie being a technician, E flat is the new standard. When I was growing up, everything was in standard tuning.
Standard.
And I remember I always tell the story when I was 12 and I bought like the Kiss Destroyer piano, organ, vocal, acoustic guitar songbook. And I didn't realize Kiss tuned down a half step. So I'm reading and I'm going, but my bass doesn't go down. Like, this can't be right. I must have wrote this wrong, And I didn't understand that you could tune your guitar down a half step, which is kind of just standard now, So, but otherwise, like with Post Malone, and that was fun to play. Like I played there were some things in there. I took some liberties and played some bass chords, and took some liberties and had some fun, playing some of the parts on the bass, which to kind of revoice it a little bit. And instead of using any keyboards or anything, just doing it all with string instruments, that stuff was fun to do that.
Nice. So we got to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to play a little game with you called Would You Rather?
Okay.
So, Would You Rather, the Dave Ellefson version, coming up in just a couple minutes here on The Mark and HooGie Show.
Visit us online at themarkandhoogieshow.com.
Prestige Guitars. We manufacture both solid and semi-hollow body electric guitars, bass guitars, and acoustics, using only the top components. Whether you're on stage, in the studio, or at home, Prestige Guitars will ensure that you sound, feel, and look the best each and every time you pick it up. Check out our new custom shop online at prestigeguitars.com.
Why leave the house to go shopping when you can buy from your couch? BuyFromYourCouch.com strives to give their customers unique quality products and service at the absolute best price. Choose from one of their fashionable and washable masks and keep yourself and others safe. Plus, check out their top quality shirts, bar supplies, and more. Just visit BuyFromYourCouch.com.
Rev Amplification is committed to innovation, tone, and service. Check out the new Alpha Series, the all-new G20 and D20, as well as our great line of pedals. The plan from the start with the G-Series pedals was to recreate the tone of our amplifiers. You can pick that up in one of the three options, the G2, G3, and G4 pedals, and they're available today over at RevAmplification.com.
Support the Mark and HooGie Show by purchasing your very own Mark and HooGie Show merch. Shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, and even flip-flops. You know you want to walk all over them, just like their kids do. So head over to the merch page at themarkandhoogieshow.com today.
Guitar gifts for you. A personalized guitar strap. They're embroidered, affordable, and professional looking for that electric, acoustic, classical, or even bass guitar player. All guitar straps sold are genuine Levy's products. And they're all fully adjustable. GuitarGiftsForYou.com. That's Guitar Gifts, the number 4, the letter U.com.
The meanest beard products in the world. HooGie here, and I gotta tell you, I've been utilizing the meanest beard product in the world for some time right now. It's helped my beard come in full, luscious, and, well, what more can I say? Save 15% using the meanest beard discount code MB15MH. Find us on the web at meanbeardco.com.
Conquer Rides and Rods, Canada's largest aftermarket V-twin parts retailer for Harley-Davidson and Indian motorcycles. We also carry the latest biker clothing lines and accessories. Free Canadian shipping on orders over $50. Meeting or beating all Canadian online pricing. Check out Conquer.ca. That's Conquer with a K. Instagram at Conquer Rides and Rods.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Adam Gontier from St. Asonia, and you're watching The Mark and HooGie Show.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Mark and HooGie Show. Here we are. We're going to have the Would You Rather Dave Ellefson edition. So Dave, this is always a fun game we like to play with our guests.
Okay.
Would you rather be unable to move your body every time it rains or not stop moving when the sun's out?
Man, I need to keep moving when the sun's out, man. So whatever the other one was, not that one. That was tough because rain. I live in Arizona. It never rains out.
It never rains.
Yeah, I mean, you would. I'd be shut down like one day. You know,
One
the rest
day
of the year. Yeah, so definitely the sun. I got to keep going.
Would you rather have no internet forever or no phone forever? If you had to choose.
Oh yeah, I would rather have no phone because technically you could make a call over the internet.
True.
Right? You know, so
True.
I mean, can you imagine life without Wi-Fi? I mean, just think about how indignant we are. And HooGie knows this. You go to Europe or someplace around the world, you're like, I can't believe there's no internet here. The injustices.
I remember it was 10 years ago when Skype phones came out, and you would walk around with your Skype phone, and the thing would ding every time the internet would work, and you'd stop, and there'd be 5 of you in front of whatever store on whatever street corner in Germany talking back to your family.
Yeah. You're on the Abbey Road crosswalk, stopped mid-stride, right? Like the Beatles. Wait, I got internet. Let me talk.
Yeah, it's funny though. My son is 6, and he almost he doesn't believe me that there was a time without internet, without streaming. He's like, "What do you mean, Disney Junior and Disney Plus, all those, and Netflix? Wait, you didn't have that when you were a kid?" I'm like, "No, man. Literally, it's funny.
It's like hearing our parents talk about a time when there was when the TV first came out, or something.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Black and white TV. What?
What is that?
You only had 4 channels.
I love the meltdown when my kids the internet stops working and they're like,
"Oh,
make it work, make it work." Or
but I even do that now. I think even us, we do that now. Where it's like, what do you mean the internet's down? It's it's only been 30 seconds.
Because of course Netflix binge watching now. So I turn my TV on and it has to wait for a minute to warm up and find the internet signal.
Yeah.
Try to get on Netflix and I'm like, oh, it's not on yet. What's going on here? I
gotta wait 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
I'm looking for a HooGie. HooGie, can you fix this?
Fix this.
on here.
Why is it not working?
Yeah.
Yeah. HooGie's new gig. Just
phone calls.
Let's get a tech in here, someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Why isn't this working? It's just like your guitar. You plug it in, and if it doesn't give you immediate satisfaction, what's wrong? How come it's not working?
Yeah.
There was a day we used to change our strings and plug our guitars in ourselves. So kids.
All right. So, okay, Dave, would you rather be covered in fur or be covered in scales?
I ride around here and I see all the rattlesnakes that shed their skin and their scales all over. I mean, I guess that's an amphibian, right? And then there's I don't know, is that an amphibian? Or is it just a remnant of a dinosaur? I don't know what a rattlesnake is. Or I guess you got the fish. See, the problem is if you got scales, then you got to live in the water, man. So I'm a fur guy. I mean, I've got fur, right? So I still have fur.
Right.
So as long as, I'm all about the fur. I'll take it.
Furry it is.
Furry it is.
All right. You can only choose. All right. So would you rather have no coffee or no music?
As much as it sucks to get a coffee headache and detox off coffee, which I do very seldom, I'd have to have music, because if you just drink a bunch of coffee and get all nervous and then have nothing to listen to, I'm out. So as much as I like them both, I think the coffee would have to go.
All righty.
Gotcha.
Last one here. Would you rather have a completely automated home or a self-driving car?
Wow. I think I would take the God, that's a tough one, man, because I like to drive, and we spend a lot of time having other people drive us around the world, and usually I'm sitting in the back seat going, this guy's a sucky driver. I could drive.
I think we all do that.
I hate, and I'm like, this guy has a license and he works for a limo company. He's driving us around. What the heck? That's a tough one. I think I need to keep I'd like to keep my driving, but then I am 55 and then I get old and then they won't let me drive one day. But in Arizona, it's funny, in Arizona, when we get your driver's license, it's literally good for 30 years, right? I remember when I moved here in 93 from LA, and it's good to 2029 or something, so I can't even imagine being that old. Now I can actually, but I don't know, man. I think well, look, you know what? I'll take the automated home because I don't have one and I don't know what that's like. So let me try the automated home.
Have you ever been in a limo or a runner's vehicle that has ran out of gas while they're transporting you to the next place?
I don't think so.
I've had that happen once.
Really?
We were at a festival and they were taking us to go have showers after the show. And she's like, "Oh, this is my first run of the day." And we all get in the car. We were out with Lamb of God. We're like, "Cool."
Yeah.
We get halfway to the hotel. She runs out of gas.
With stinky Lamb of God guys.
Yeah, the crew guys, yeah.
That'll teach
Not
her.
even the band. The crew.
That'll teach her after a show at a festival, right?
Yeah. We're
I'll never make that mistake again.
Off the side of the street. We're like, "You can't make this up. You can't make this up."
Yeah, it's like, hey, this is beyond my pay grade. I am never got hired. It's not in my rider as a technician.
Part of your job is to have gas if you're driving people,
Yeah. That is true. That is true.
You forgot the most important part. Forgot to get the gas. It's literally the only thing you needed to make sure was that there was gas in the car.
Yes.
You couldn't even remember that.
You got one job. Make sure there's gas in the car.
Yeah.
Driving Lamb of God to take showers.
Oh, geez. There you go. It's Would You Rather, the Dave Ellefson edition here on the Mark and HooGie Show. All right, we're going to come back with some listener questions, some viewer questions for you in just a couple minutes here on the Mark and HooGie Show with Dave Ellefson.
Visit us online at themarkandhoogieshow.com.
Adventure Mystic is Mystic, Connecticut's premier paddle sports destination, featuring bike, kayak, and paddleboard rentals, sunrise, sunset, and full moon paddle events, kayak and paddleboard lessons, tours, and private parties, paddleboards, skateboards, snowboards, and so much more. Now shipping anywhere in North America. Order online at adventuremystic.com and follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
Bestronix Pro Audio, providing high-end and durable audio cables for the professional musician. All cables are custom made to order and manufactured right in the USA using premium components. Check out our custom pedalboard and rack builds. Visit best-tronics.com and don't forget to follow us on our socials.
Homegrown Boone's Bourbon, founded by American singer-songwriter Tyler Boone from the Striped Pig Distillery in Charleston, South Carolina. It's 117% proof, 75% corn, 21% rye, and 4% barley. True American-made bourbon, aged in brand new American white oak charred barrels. Order a bottle online today. DrinkBoonesBourbon.com. Will soon be available in Edmonton, Canada, and in Europe.
WB Gear. We are determined to help get artist endorsement and the gear you need. Featuring brands such as SIT Strings, Prestige Guitars, Bestronic Pro Audio, Rev Amplification, Guitar Gifts for You, Neat Audio, Big Ben's Nut Sauce, Intune Guitar Picks, Mental Case Inc., Rockstock Pedals, and Barefoot Buttons. New artists can apply at WBGear.com today.
SIT Strings is celebrating 40 years. We believe that great tone starts with great strings. Manufactured in Akron, Ohio, we're a small but mighty company made up of guitar players, bass players, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, country music fans, metalheads, 80s rockers, and even the occasional jam band guy. Visit us online at sitstrings.com.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Danny Mossop. You're watching the Mark and HooGie Show. Enjoy.
Hey, it's the Mark and HooGie Show, and our special guest this week, Dave Ellefson from Megadeth. And it's time for you guys to ask some questions. You can always send us your questions through our socials at Mark and HooGie or the markandhoogieshow.com. All right, Dave. So we got a couple people who've sent in some questions, and we'll go to our first one right now.
Hey, Dave. Quick question. Let's go back, a long time ago, 1984, 85. How did a small town guy from Minnesota end up in the band Megadeth? And two, what was the vibe with Dave after the whole melee of him getting handed his bus ticket home and being fired from Metallica? And was it his drive to get revenge on Metallica or just to be bigger or than everyone else. Thanks, man. Be well.
Okay, so I when I was 16 years old, I grew up on a farm in Minnesota. I'd been playing bass since I was age 11. First band age 12, out playing even semi-professionally by the time I was about age 13. And I remember when I was age 16, the instinct hit me. Hit me in the gut. Just I got to get to LA. I don't know. Van Halen was taken off, and a couple years later, by my senior year, 1983, of course, the US Festival was happening. Motley Crue had gotten, was taken off. Rat, Ozzy was finding his musicians out in Los Angeles. So that seemed to be the place to go. So I made the plan. And I made the move, and I got out there. And so I moved into an apartment, and about a few days later, I meet Dave Mustaine, who's lived up above me. I didn't know who he was, had not heard of Metallica yet. So this was June 1983. News travels slow to the Midwest at that time by, Rock Scene and Circus Magazine, right? And so I got to the coast, though, and there's all these fanzines, and of course I'm hearing about Metallica, and so I'm like, okay, and I meet Dave, and I was like, okay, this guy's definitely a real rock star, he just had that air about him, he carried himself like that, and when I met him, he was actually, I think, a bit introspective in his, and just kind of thinking about everything. There's maybe a few drinks flowing around, but not much. And I remember Dave, he was obviously taking it very seriously, what had just happened with his removal from Metallica. He'd started writing some songs. The first one was a song called Megadeth, which got later retitled to Set the World Afire, that we put on the So Far So Good SWAT album. But, initially, I remember he like when times would get kind of tough with us over the next few months, he would always say to me, he'd go, if this doesn't work out, I'm just going to go into computers. And I'd be driving my van, right? And he'd be riding shotgun. Computers? It's like, you can't go to computers, This will work. Trust me, this will work. Because I'm here too. We're going to make damn sure this works. Because I put my whole life, on this thing too, called Megadeth. So, but yeah, I think a lot of people around him, like we'd be driving down the street and some guy would yell, we'd have the windows rolled down because it's California, and some guy would yell out, Metallica. And I think Dave took it very personally, like it was a diss. And I took it like, dude, that's awesome. The guy, he's doesn't know what to say. So he says, Metallica, like to him, I always thought it as like a favorable thing, not a dude, you were in Metallica, so yeah. Dave may have seen it differently, but to me, I was kind of like, I think that's pretty cool. They still, regardless of that you're not in the band, they still view you as a Metallica guy, So I think a lot of it was the fans drove him because they wanted him to do something. And Dave was a star in the Bay Area when Metallica moved up there. I mean, he was definitely, and you can tell there's this new movie now, Murder in the Front Row. And, they talk about that. And, he made a big impact up there. So, that, and I think the industry people were excited to see what Dave was going to do next. They knew he was, Dangerous Dave. We had Diamond Dave and Van Halen. We had Dangerous Dave and Megadeth. And that's what makes it Megadeth. That's part of the charm. And the two of us being named Dave, I remember that was a big discussion. All right, how are we going to work this out? Because my middle name is Warren, so we thought, should we call you Warren or shorten it to War? I mean, can we really have two Daves in one band? So fun discussions of building the beast back in the day. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's go to our next question.
My question is for David Ellefson. When tracking bass in the studio, what is some equipment must-haves and pre-game rituals that you do to have a successful day of tracking?
Good question, especially coming just, the first day recording the most recent Megadeth album number 16, as it's called now, just as a working title. That won't be the title, I'm pretty sure. That's just kind of our internal thing we call it. But
has a nice ring to it. Just saying.
Yeah, album 16. Hey, why not? But it's funny. The first day, I played 4 songs, and you think about because I know the songs. We had demos of them, and I made my little charts. I don't really have one here somewhere, but I kind of write like my little I write my little charts out and make my little road maps. If nothing else, just kind of memory jogger of little things. And so, you figure you run the song down once, you kind of get a feel for it, kind of see where maybe there might be little trouble spots or little, things that you're going to have to be aware of. And then, start running it again. And then, kind of going and start detailing and touching up things. So essentially you kind of end up working the song down probably 3 or 4 times. And then, Dave comes in and gives it his ears one last time just to kind of make sure, musically it's tightened up, and he's also producing. So, I was thinking about it. It's like, we recorded 18 songs and you play each one of them 4 times. That's a lot of run throughs. And these songs are not easy. Trust me. This is like Rust in Peace on steroids 30 years later, 30 years older, you know what I mean? And so so that's that. So I think number one, preparation is a must have. And again, I do write my charts. I wish I don't have them. Just kind of show here. I mean, I do everything from as simple as like just writing notes out,
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it is. I just kind of make, verse, chorus, and kind of write how many bars it is. And sometimes I don't use the Nashville number system. I'll just use whatever tuning we're in. I'll write the notes, D, E, A, whatever. But as far as gear goes, these modulus basses record great with metal stuff. So I have some of these that I take in the studio. My Jackson basses sound great. That's the Megadeth tone. So I always have a couple of those because you just never know. Certain songs require a different maybe tone. Sometimes it's the speed of the song. So obviously you have to have new strings on. And I save my strings and remind, yes, SIT strings. Yes, exactly. Thank you, HooGie. HooGie's the host with the most. And what I do is, I'll record 1, sometimes 2 or 3 songs, depending on how much life I can get out of them. And I save them and I mark what songs I recorded them on the rare, unexpected chance a week from now, I got to go back and punch something in and fix a note or something.
Right.
And so I keep them because, I can't use a brand new set of strings when maybe I recorded them with some strings that were a little worn out.
Yep.
They're going to have a little less shiny, bright sound. So yeah, there's a lot of these little details. We archive everything. We make very detailed notes. And that kind of stuff. One of the things I do always use, see if I have it here, is, I build a tone with a bunch of different amplifiers. So I'll always use a couple of Harkey LH1000 heads. I have a a 210 XL, which is like what I call the Rust in Peace tone. It's the old aluminum cone speaker. I set up an Ampeg SVT to get some mids. I got a PV810 in there. So I kind of build the tone, but Harkey makes this attack pedal from back in around 2010, 2011. And that's like my secret weapon, like special sauce in a box kind of thing, that I
Nice.
I punch it and turn it on and say, there it is.
There it is.
That's what we were missing. That little extra something,
The color.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yep.
The cherry on top, the drizzle of chocolate sauce over the ice cream, just that last little nuance, that little flavor, So that's some of the stuff that, those are a couple of the things that for me. Other than that, man, what you hear comes right off these hands. It's me playing the bass straight in and, print it real organic and real authentic. And that, especially in Megadeth, that is the sound, it's just clean as a whistle and just going right down to tape, hard and fast and furious.
Awesome.
Nice. All right, let's go to our next question.
Morning, Mark and HooGie. I have a question for David of Megadeth. I'd like to know, what does he find to be the most challenging musical transition? Is it specifically a riff within a song? Is it a song itself? Is it a bridge or an interlude? What does David find to be the most challenging point in a Megadeth set for him? Thanks, guys. Love the show.
Yeah. Okay. So I was thinking about the recording, because obviously that's just what I came from. And I always say Megadeth songs are, in particular, I'll speak to that since this question was to Megadeth stuff, is usually a combination of quarter, eighth, and 16th notes. Da da ga 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 digga digga digga, right? Those figures broken up with triplets. Digga 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 da da ga ga digga 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 ga 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 digga. You know, I kind of wake up dead, you know, that kind of stuff. So knowing that, you know, I kind of am already prepared for, you know, some of the transitions. And again, the recording, you're sort of creating the song. You know, you're creating this thing that will live and breathe forever. So, you know, I'm always aware of those little transitions. And like we just spoke about, I'll have my little notepad there in the studio to just kind of help me turn some of those tricky little corners. Because sometimes you're matching a drum fill, sometimes you're matching a riff, you know, some really hairy guitar lick, you know, you're matching that. Live, I think the biggest thing for me is breathing for singing, to be honest with you, because you know, you're up there, you're ripping, you're thrashing, you're headbanging, you're doing your thing. And HooGie, you know this, some nights you're outdoors in an amphitheater and it's a hot, muggy night. Other days you're playing in a freezing cold hockey arena. So there's elements around you that you just have to go out and deal with it because that's what it is. And, you know, so I think probably being obviously in good shape, warmed up, especially vocally warmed up, so that I can really focus on things. Because oftentimes the playing really is just second nature. It's kind of like riding a bike. It comes easy. So a lot of it is just singing, because I'm not just singing my part. I'm listening to Dave. I'll have Kiko a little bit in my ears, you know, in my in-ear monitor mix, you know what I mean? So, and that's the thing with those in-ear monitor mix. It's kind of like wearing headphones. I mean, you can really, it's like being in the studio. You can really hear everything. And that's one of the things I like about that in-ear monitoring stuff is it's great for singing. It really helps me in particular. It helps me sing. And when I've been on the road for even just a few days, man, my vocal chops, I can sit around the house and sing. That's one thing, but to get on stage and sing with that intensity and that real attention to the detail of it, you know, a couple of days in, my voice is pretty rocking, you know, and it's always fun because I come home like singing like a bird.
All right, our next question is from Jeff.
Hi, I am Jeff, and I've got a question for Dave. Dave, on the road, you're busy and it's nonstop touring. When you get home, how do you find the time to balance between the coffee business and the film production business as you're doing so nowadays?
That question should be entitled, how do you re-enter the atmosphere of civilian life? Because, you know, whether you're on the stage like I am, or you're off to the side of the stage or behind the scenes like HooGie, you know, it's a different world. It's kind of like camping. Some nights you're camping with 60,000 of your closest friends and fans at a festival. And, but you know, it's funny, as big as our lives look on the stage, internally, we keep, I think, a pretty closed bubble atmosphere, you know, and you kind of have to, you know, you keep your life close to you, your bags, your passport, your wallet, your phone, you know, it's like everything's kind of real tight. And so our worlds really probably get smaller when we're on tour, just because we have, and then, you know, those of us in the band and crew and our staff, we become like our own little family on the road. And then you come home and you're reintroduced to your family at home, you know, your wife and kids, and you're like, who? Oh, that's right. You guys live here. That's right. That's right. I just set my bags here and sleep here once in a while, you know, especially in the middle of,
it's not your home.
It's not your home. No, I pay for it, but it's their home. Yeah, exactly. But, and that, you know, funny or sadly, depending on your situation, especially in the middle of a grueling tour, you know, which can be 2 or 3 years or whatever. You know, it is the reality of that. But I think, you know, as far as the business stuff that our friend was asking about there, fortunately, I've got a team of people that work with that. And again, as big as our sort of Ellefson empire looks, it's really just a handful of people doing it. And In fact, I'm even training my son to help. He just got his MBA in finance. So I'm like, all right, now you're going to go to work for the family business. Nice. Just like I had to do growing up on the farm. You got to work for the family business, get your hands dirty. But it's funny with the coffee business this month, through the summer, I'm actually doing the fulfillment of some of our online orders, which I volunteered to do. I raised my hand. HooGie, as you know, when we met, actually, I was working for a company called Peavey, and a very big musical instruments and sound reinforcement manufacturing company, and owned single-handedly by its owner, Hartley Peavey, who started it. And one day we were at a trade show in New York, and Hartley was helping pack the show up. It was a small little show. It wasn't a lot of stuff, but he's helping put amplifiers in boxes. And I remember he's going, what the hell with this box? This box is terrible. And why do we have this box? And it's really caught me because, again, growing up on a farm, I was born and raised there. So I knew my way around the farm. And then I started a lot of rock bands over the years. I would say no one's above humping gear, man. No one is above pushing amps, lifting gear, packing the truck, packing the van. Lead singers often think they are, but they're not. Everybody has the poor drummer. He's got all this stuff, and the singer puts his microphone away. He's over in the corner drinking beer, picking up on girls. It's like, hey, help us pack the van. But it's important to know your business from the ground up, and watching Hartley do that I was impressed, because as big as that company was, it was a big company that he was there. And it was like seeing the details is what makes you improve your company, And now, of course, there's these behind the scene bosses or whatever. What's that show on TV?
Undercover
bosses.
Yeah.
So this summer I'm kind of the undercover boss with the fulfillment of our coffee, and it's great. I'm really learning things that I've never taken for granted, but other people have done it. And it is, I got to be honest with you, it's making me appreciate how hard so many of these people work to make this happen while I'm off on tour being a rock star. And of course, part of my role in the company is I got to be the famous guy. That's part of what makes the thing work. But just to get my hands dirty with it, and putting labels on bags and signing them and, going to the post office and just being a dude, I'm not above it. It's got my name on the door of the company. I can't be above humping gear and doing the dirty work, so it's kind of fun for me this summer to be doing that.
That's cool.
Now I need to order some coffee.
Yes.
I'm like, man, this guy's.
I got an idea. Coffee sponsorship on the show.
Ooh, I like that. I think I know a guy. Yeah.
And how about that? And I have a coffee addiction. So there you see, it's peas in a pod there.
Mark,
I'll keep you guys checked. Yeah. And since I had to give up coffee in my would you rather, I now have more coffee for you.
Yes. See what I did there? It was all
I get
a trick. Yeah. You don't need all that coffee. Just send it to us.
Barely not. Yeah.
All right. Our next question is from another guy named Jeff, Red Cup Jeff, who is a regular on the show.
Hey, what's going on there, Max and HooGie? It's your old pal, Red Cup Jeff, checking in from Las Vegas. I had a question for Dave Ellefson. You got to let me know. Your nickname is Junior, so I want to know, everybody wants to know, who are your top 5 juniors? Is it Sammy Davis Jr., Ken Griffey Jr., Harry Connick Jr.? Come on, let us know. People want to know. I want to know. Looking forward to your answer. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.
And all I want to say is that I don't think he's gotten my name right once, first off.
Come on, man. He's got it.
Yeah, and secondly, I think
you should. Go ahead.
I don't think he's ever worn a shirt either. I don't know. I wonder if this guy owns it.
I'm going to go back to him and say, who are your top 5 Red Cup guys? Red Cup Joe, Red Cup Sam.
That's a good idea. We're going to get Red Cup on the show, and we're going to have you ask him a question.
I love it. I like the Red Cup guy. That's cool. That's a good one. Well, look, probably my first one would be Junior Samples from Hee Haw. because that's who I watched growing up as a kid. Every Saturday night, my family would sit around the TV because we literally had, I think, the black and white TV with one channel initially till we were blessed with UHF out on the farm, and then we had Hee Haw in color. So Junior samples, yeah, definitely Sammy Davis Jr. for sure. Way Cool Jr. from Rat, whoever that guy was. That was a cool song, Way Cool Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. for sure. Gosh, I can't even think of another junior.
What, Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
I was gonna say Dale Earnhardt Jr. Wasn't Cal Ripken Jr. too, right? Wasn't he a junior? I feel like
we can get to
Cal
baseball.
Ripken Jr.
I'm definitely more of a baseball fan than I am a NASCAR guy. So, but all right. Well, look, we'll throw Dale in there. I mean, good. Right. Thanks, HooGie. HooGie was that a cash cab when you can do a lifeline? And
yeah.
HooGie, you got a junior for me over there? So,
do you like the junior nickname, or do you not like that, or do you not really give a damn?
Yeah, honestly, I don't give a damn really that much anymore. You know, it started out, we were in the grocery store down on Kings Road and Santa Monica Boulevard. This is right when I'd probably known Dave maybe a month, maybe 2 months. And there was another guy named Peyton Tuthill, and he was an artist. He's a bass player from Minnesota, and me and Dave somehow ended up crashing at their house. We were good at that. We were good at being homeless and suddenly moving in with you. And you wouldn't know we moved in until our mail started showing up at your house. And like, hey, you guys owe me money for the phone bill, you know. So, all right, we'll help, you know. Nope. But that's
when you moved to the next house.
That's when we moved to the next house. Good one.
Let me go run to the bank. I'll get that money for you. And then you just never come back. Yeah.
So Peyton Tuthill was a great artist, and he actually hand painted, I think like with some like ink paints or like paint pens or something, the very first Megadeth logo, which essentially was what the Killing Is My Business album cover now looks like. Not the original Killing Is My Business, but what it now, because with the reissues, we've redone the artwork. So essentially it was that. And one day we're at the grocery store and they were busting my chops, making fun of me for being like a small town kid just moving to Hollywood, you know. And he said it. He goes, you're like the wet behind the ears kid who fell off the turnip truck from the farm, like Junior. And Dave just started howling. He's like, oh my God, that is so funny. Because again, we had this thing, how are we going to have two Daves in the band? And so I think that he found his, okay, that's how we're going to do it. You're Junior. You know, so for a lot of years I didn't like it because it was like, you know what, fuck you guys, you know what I mean?
which when you do that, then it's like, oh, he hates it now, and you totally sticking with it.
Now I'm fine. You know, Dave will, you know, he doesn't even call me Junior, he'll call me Joopy or other funny names. You know, now it's just, you know, we're buddies and it's a term of endearment. You know, after so long, so it doesn't bother me now.
Nice. And one last question, and it comes to us from Adam Gontier of St. Asonia.
Hey, what's up, Dave? How you doing, man? This is Adam Gontier here, formerly of 3 Days Grace, currently of St. Asonia. I've got a question for you. I'd like to know, being in recovery and that sort of thing, how you're dealing with quarantine, not being able to go out, maybe not being able to go to meetings or, you know, meet up with people that you normally would to keep your recovery going strong, that sort of thing. I know for me, it's tough. I'm going to online meetings, that sort of thing. And I'm just wondering what you're doing to stay strong and stay healthy and stay sober during this time.
And that was nice. Good to see him again too, by the way.
He's been working really hard at it too, so it's good for him, you know.
Which is great. You know, a lot of people, when I first was going into like rehab, you know, we just played Castle Donington, you know, which is now called Download Festival. And it was 1988, and went straight off the stage of 107,000 people into a drug and alcohol rehab. And I got there and I was like, all right, there has been a serious mistake. Like I am in the wrong place, you know. I just got done playing for 100,000 people. Why am I in here, you know? And but that was the beginning of it, and of course, the big part of that journey of it's from, you know, coming out of an addiction into recovery is the humility thing with that. And but that's when I was introduced to 12-step recovery and that stuff. And for me, that just becomes the new lifestyle. In the same way that the drugs and booze were a lifestyle, you adapt this new lifestyle of clean living and sober living, and a lot of friends. It's funny. There's a lot of us, in our business who have been through that and are on the other side of it, or recovered addicts, alcoholics, and so there's a pretty good community of us out there, which is nice. And which is kind of cool. So it's kind of like when you used to see the guy that was holding the drugs, you'd kind of go, hey, yo, now you see the guy on campus that's like, that's cleaned up, and you're like, hey, let's hang out afterwards, let's have a little chat. So it's cool. It's nice when you're, kind of in that community. But yeah, look, on Zoom, it's funny. I think kind of the sober community, we were probably one of the first early adapters of the Zoom meetings, and kind of being able to adapt, because that's a big part of our lifestyle is fellowship, and being able to hang with each other, and again, we do keep it anonymous. That's kind of part of it. But when you're in the club, we know where each other hangs and how we roll. So it sounds like he's doing everything that you would be doing, and hopefully it's encouraging to maybe some people watching this. A lot of these things are posted on the websites and stuff. So it's been fine for me, to be honest with you. And if I think when you make your recovery a number one priority, which I found it has to be. They said anything you put in front of your sobriety and your recovery, you will lose it and your recovery. So I took that seriously. So I do, so I think if that is really your number one priority, a day at a time, and then you go find it. It's just like for me, playing the bass and making music is a priority for me. It's I can go a day or two without it, and I kind of start jonesing a little bit. I get a little weird, so I pick a guitar. That's why I leave guitars out. I never put them in. I put the good stuff away in cases by recording stuff, but I leave stuff out all over the house because I want to be able to just see it, look at it, and go, yeah, I want to pick that up and strum a few chords. Some days nothing happens. Other days a song falls out. So I find, a sober lifestyle is the same thing. So I keep my bikes out. I don't put them away. And, it's just like, have things available to you in life. So if they're important to you and you need them, always have them available and ready, so you can just sort of grab it and go.
That's great advice.
Was it tough once you became sober? Was it almost tough to then do things that maybe, like even writing songs, for example, and getting back into studio, or maybe, because I've talked to people in the past who are like, it's almost like relearning things, because for years, maybe you wrote songs under the influence, and then it's like, oh, I've never done this sober before.
Yeah.
It totally changes everything, right?
So I started playing music when I was probably 8 years old, but the bass at age 11. So I didn't know drugs or alcohol or any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then at age 15 is when I took my first drink, and I got sober at age 25. I literally got clean 3 weeks before we went in the studio and recorded Rust in Peace, which is probably why you hear us going, thrashing, speed the tempos up, let's go. So that was my first, sober record, through Real Clear Eyes, and Nick Menza, our drummer at the time. We'd always go out and go mountain biking, and the producer Mike Klink and I became good friends in that session. We'd go playing tennis during the day. So I really adapted this whole new, healthy, athletic lifestyle that I've maintained for the last 30 years, So, so all of that was happening at that same time. So making that record was cool, because it was like, we worked banker hours. We started at 10 a.m. and we finished at, 10 at night. We'd do a 12-hour lockout. And it was, maybe I'd be there till 6 or 7, and then I'd leave and, go home. And, which is very different, because we used to start at 10 at night and then, work at 10 in the morning.
Sun came up.
Yeah, that's how we recorded Peace Cells and So Far So Good, So What, and all that stuff, the earlier records. That record was, that was the beginning of it. But, to your question, I remember so that was March, right? March 1990. So somewhere not too far before that. Again, it could have been like November of '89, because those were kind of the transitional months as I was making my way over to really having, day one of sobriety, which was March 1st of 1990. And I remember sitting in my apartment in Studio City, and I had a bass in my hand, and I was just going, God, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. And right after that, this thought hit me, which I call, from the good Lord above, this hit me, and it said, you started playing in music long before you got into drugs, and the drugs have just caused you problems and gotten in the way. You got to get the drugs out of the way. And I just felt like this weight lifted off me, and I was just like, yes, I'm back, and it was, so that was for me, my sobriety wasn't sort of this just one day I'm high, the next day I'm clean, and lived happily ever after. It was a transition, it was really about an 18-month transition, of letting go of the old way, it's like letting go of the ex. That's, everyone's going, let go. Yeah. There's a better life ahead. No, but you don't understand. She's the one, drugs. Yeah. Drugs and alcohol. She's the one, and it's like, let go. And so finally, when I did, of course, then that's when, that's obviously the best has happened since then. I mean, it's just been an incredible life ever since. And I feel like, restored back to who the good Lord made me to be, and with, talents and gifts and resources and stuff that he wanted me to have for me and my family. And also what's kind of cool about a sober life is you sort of get to have two lives in one lifetime. You kind of had that life. Now you get to have this new one too. So it's pretty cool,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. All right. So we're going to come back in just a second. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up with Dave Ellefson of Megadeth. Stay tuned. It's the Mark and HooGie Show.
Visit us online at themarkandhoogieshow.com.
DeanBlundell.com is Canada's premier blog and podcast network. Our unique group of broadcasters, athletes, writers, and production specialists cover platforms that range from music, sports, radio and television, marketing, self-help, and even comedy. 11 podcasts, over 20 bloggers. Pure content madness. Check it out for yourself at DeanBlundell.com.
Support the Mark and HooGie Show by purchasing your very own Mark and HooGie Show merch. Shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, and even flip-flops. You know you want to walk all over them, just like their kids do. So head over to the merch page at themarkandhoogieshow.com today.
Hello, it's Morgan from Seven Dust here, and you're watching the Mark and HooGie Show. Yeah, boy.
Hey, we're back. It's the Mark and HooGie Show with Dave Ellefson from Megadeth. All right, man. Sorry to keep you for so long. You're a busy man. You got so much on the go right now. But is there obviously, the solo album, the new Megadeth album, which do we have a kind of a time on that? I know everything's kind of up in the air right now.
Everything's up in the air. I mean, we're aiming for 2021. Our tour that we're supposed to be doing. Literally this week was supposed to start, or last week, I guess. Yeah. That's all, been pushed back now to 2021. So, we just got to let the world reset itself. It's just nice. It's a good season right now to be working on the Megadeth record. Obviously, Megadeth.com is where all the news is for that. For me, DavidEllefson.com has all my stuff. My foundation is the Ellefson Youth Music Foundation.org. And we're always doing some fundraising over there that helps keeps the bills paid, so we can give the free lessons to the students around the world that we're doing through our Schools Out initiative.
That's amazing, man. By the way, that you do that. I think that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's we've been able to enlist a lot of friends like Nita Strauss and. I hit Kiko and Dirk from Megadeth and a bunch of people to Chris Cale from Five Finger Death Punch, Bumblefoot, a bunch of people to jump in and help out with that. So a lot of people have been very gracious with their time to do that, So, I guess, that's about it. I mean, Facebook, is just David Ellefson. YouTube, I think, is David Ellefson. So that's, I don't know, just throw David Ellefson in Google.
It'll pop up.
Ellefson Coffee Company, you can go ellefsoncoffeeco.com. Yeah, like I say, through the summer, I will be personally handling your bags and autographing them. And so, doing all that stuff. So
Make sure you order.
Very cool, man.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to order some coffee right after this because I'm running low, so I need to stock up. So awesome, man. Thanks again so much. Oh, and you're even involved in movies too. If you
Yeah, the Ellefson films. Yeah, you know, it's funny. You know, we got Ellefson films and Ellefson books. Because you know, I've published 3 books, or I've written 3 books that have been published, I should say. And you know, book publishing is kind of, in some ways, is a little bit like the record industry. You know, once I started my EMP label group and Combat Records and that, I realized there's a lot of people who have content that they need to put out and sometimes don't know where to go, or are having a tough time with it. So I figured, you know, look, if my path into those ventures can help other people, and we can put out books, and even, you know, I got people sending me film productions and stuff to put out. If that can help, and you know, if lending my skills and my resume and my name to it can help give a bigger look for it, I'm happy to do that. You know, we're just here to be utilized and here to be used for the greater good. You know.
Well, you did that for us today. Thank you.
Yeah. I love it, man.
This is cool.
You know, I love it. Always thinking of other people, always trying to help people in any way you can, and that's, you know, I think that's very noble of you, and it's a good way to live. More people should honestly should be like that. If we all were as kind as David Ellefson, the world would be a great place.
Well, you can thank my parents for that. That was on them. They get the credit for that one.
Awesome, man. Well, there you go, David Ellefson. Thank you so much for joining us on the Mark and HooGie Show.
Welcome. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
The Mark and HooGie Show. Visit us online at themarkandhoogieshow.com.